here at Gus Brown Community Center. We want to thank them for allowing us to come in. And first, we're gonna have, I am Jane Williams. And I'm gonna be your moderator this morning. So we're gonna first have a welcome by Eric Simmons, our mayor. The mayor here. And I'm gonna ask him to stand, or you wanna come up here and.
It's fine, it's fine. How you doing? Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you, Dr. Dr. King, and all of you all here for what you do day in and day out. USDA is one of those agencies that are near and dear to my heart, because when you think about sustainability, when you think about people, you cannot really move communities forward without food. Being here on Mississippi River Basin, I don't know if some of y'all know, I've been around the country, around the world, talking about the strength of the Mississippi River Basin. Mississippi River Basin is the world's largest food producing river basin. And when you think about in terms of economics, it moves about 458 billion in agricultural commodities and exports annually. Critically important about the river basin in Mississippi versus the Nile and the Amazon and all of the other major food producing basins is they keep most of their food. The Mississippi River Basin, we export most of our food. So when you talk about food security for the world, you cannot talk about anything but the Mississippi River Basin. But in order to get there, you have to have an agency like USDA. And so when you have an agency like USDA that help our farmers, help our communities, whether it was creating equitable opportunities in housing, whether it was farming, sustainable agriculture, you think about this organization. So on behalf of the city of Greenville, on behalf of the 30,000 folks here in Greenville, but more importantly, on behalf of the 1 in 12 folks who consume commodities on the Mississippi River around the world, thank you all and give yourselves a round of applause. So today you're gonna have, and you know, I know the first question that comes to mind for folks, what are things? Well, the Mississippi River Basin has about 10 states, and it covers so many different congressional districts. And so Congressman Thompson was here last week, and he'll be here again on Monday with an announcement that we're doing. But he is the House member on the Mississippi River Commission. Senator Bozeman from Arkansas. He is the person who is on that river commission from Arkansas. And so when you think about partnerships, the Delta, when you think about where the world's food comes from, you got to think about Mississippi, you got to think about Arkansas, you got to think about Alabama, you got to think about those states who produce day in and day out food and commodities that we consume. And so on behalf of the city of Greenville, we want to thank the Arkansas Land Development Organization for coming across to Greenville, Mississippi to Greenville. And so if you ever need me or if you ever need help from me, I'm here. Dr. King, and I just want to thank y'all and welcome you all to Greenville, Mississippi. Now we was talking about Charles Bannerman, who was one of the founding members of the Mississippi Delta Blues and Heritage Festival. Right. Dr. King has been to the Delta Blues and Heritage Festival. We pride ourselves, we have the longest running blues festival. We also have been declared the capital of the world. We just was announced with US Today as the #1 food festival in the country with the Hockamole festival. I tell folks we got Hockamoles that make you slap, so like let's go slap USDA. So thank y'all so much for being here. And if you want to come back, like you say, you come back to the Blues Festival, come back to a number of things that we're doing in this community. I'm proud to say that I started my 3rd term as mayor on January 2nd. And I'm a firm believer what W.E.B. Du Bois talked about, that you know, as men, you have to do more than just have knowledge, you got to work. And so I went to Jackson State, went to Howard, and so yeah, I find that knowledge, but you know what the Bible said, faith that works is dead. So I came back truly to give back to my community. And so that's why I'm in my 3rd term, because I truly feel when you invest in individuals, you build stronger families. And when you have stronger families, that's how you build sustainable communities. It's thank you so much about this. I miss a lot, I know you yes.
And I was at the agriculture program, Arkansas Land and Farm Community Development Corporation. And Mayor Attorney Summers has made it very easy for me to say the next few things that I'm going to say. One thing is that I learned a long time ago, and by the way, I'm a native of Mississippi Delta. I grew up in East Arkansas, born and raised. One thing I learned about the Mississippi River that was always important is that Mississippi River Basin drains 40% of the United States.
Yes.
That tells you a lot about the river. I've worked on rivers like the Connecticut River, the Delaware River, the Hudson. I worked on those rivers in my past career. The Mississippi River is the mighty river in the United States. It is the mighty river. Because drainage, water drainage is very important. Just talk to any farmer, especially driving down today, and you're looking at all this water that's standing in all of these fields because we've had so much rain. But the river, if it wasn't for that river, that water would be there for an awful long time, and we would not be producing the agricultural commodities, the products that we're producing currently. And I'm gonna say this, Tommy Davidson, actor, Tyrone Davis, Jay Blackfoot, Jim Henson, Quentin Groves, Johnny Dodd. Now we're talking about some culture. That's some culture that's related to Greenville, right there. That's just part of the list. These were the people that I was familiar with. When I Googled cultural in Greenville, Mississippi, that's a long list. So this is a very, very rich area, not only for the things that the mayor had mentioned, but as well as for historical, cultural heritage. And to do my project, Dr. King Black for me to do is because, you know, in opportunities like this, you don't always get a chance to talk about things that we've talked about today here. But Arkansas Land and Community Development Corporation, you know, prides itself in being able to put together our partners from USDA staff and the community. Today is a, you know, it's an unusual day. A lot of rain, there's a lot of thunderstorms and tornadoes in the area. So I'm sure it affected the attendance some, but we pride ourselves in being able to bring staff from USDA, that's very important, and connect them to folks in the community, residents, businesses, government officials, so that folks do not have to go to their respective offices to find the information that they need to move forward in their communities. So today is like a lot of days, a lot of meetings that we've set up in Arkansas, Tennessee, as well as Mississippi to bridge that gap. And today would be, I'm sure would be just as effective as others have been once everybody shows up. So I will stop now and turn it back over to the hands of the. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Smith and Larry Lawson. That is our Director of Farm Program Division. And I just want to really thank Mayor Simmons for bringing that information to us, and you are great. And I know after what has been said from you, that everybody's feel welcome. So we're going to have next in program, Dr. King, our President and CEO. The first, Dr. King, before you say, our restrooms are here on the left there, goes straight through that door. And complimentary from Arkansas Land and Community Development Corporation, we have some snacks here and water, refreshment here for you. So feel free to get either one. So next we're gonna have Dr. King.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Let me say first of all, Mayor, I really appreciate your being here, and I truly enjoyed the presentation that you made. While we are presenting in person here, we are also doing this where people can listen in virtually as well. And those who may not be able to make it today, just those who are participants on the agenda, just make it known that we're recording this particular session, and we have a website. We normally go back and we put the information on the website, and I will it'll go to YouTube, and we refer people through our newsletter publications back to the website and YouTube, and where they can go and listen to the presentation that was made or the events that have been held in the various locations that we do our outreach work in. We're going to cover a number of areas today with our partners, with USDA, Natural Resource Conservation Services, USDA, Rural Development, and Farm Service Agency. So it has been said that USDA as a resource itself, particularly rural development, can literally build a city. They can literally build a city. They have the type of resources that allows for, it has that offering in opportunities from a resource perspective. Rural development does, from business loans, infrastructure development, from that standpoint, community facility, housing. So the resource technology areas is that corporate development financing. I know Barry's gonna talk more about that. The other area that we're going to talk about today from a resource perspective is with Natural Resource Conservation Services. And sometimes, particularly in our community, in the African American community itself, you'll find that some of the resources that's available, they have not been accessed on the part of what we call the underserved and unserved population base. Now, that's there are a number of reasons for that, and we're going to come back and look at what some of those barriers have been in the past, and we will talk about also what the discrepancies are as it relates to the disparities that exist today. And when I say disparity from a gap perspective, when you look at both equity and wealth from one perspective, from an economic status, and then wealth and equity from another perspective, and you'll find there are pretty great disparities from that standpoint. Now, in saying that, it is something also that USDA has recognized, both Farm Service Agency, Natural Resource Conservation Services, as well as rural development. And over the years, there have been efforts to bridge that gap of where those disparities exist with programs that have been put in place that create accessibility in a manner where it fits better the area of need in comparison to what has been sometimes one shoe fits all. So that's a major improvement in comparison to what it may have been in the 70s, in the beginning of the 70s. And the change of administration philosophy changed. The missionary itself sometimes changes the close our priorities, and that's not unusual. I'm sure some of us probably recognize, I do. I can't speak for anyone else. I know there's some pretty big discrepancies when I look at individuals sitting around me and during my point in time from prayer. It was a philosophy of missionary to get big and get out. When it came down to agriculture. Now, we didn't live on a few acres, which meant that you could live on a few acres, and it was feasible to do that. And from a sustainability perspective, from agricultural production, type practices, there's a cooperative. Mississippi has been very much so known for cooperatives in the state of Mississippi. Some very strong cooperative movements and cooperative efforts. And there are prime opportunities that's offered today by way of the USDA, both for cooperative development, building cooperative capacity in local communities, and from the small farm perspective. The other area which is new, and we will speak from that standpoint as well, as initiated by USDA, and something that has been put in the Farm Bill, in the 2018 Farm Bill, which was very unusual. We're not just talking about rural now when you're talking about agriculture, when you're talking about farming. 2018 Farm Bill, urban farm became a reality. So we have urban farm in most states, and I'm sure in Mississippi as well. both from the technical committee perspective, with, natural resource conservation services within the Arkansas, and so in other areas, then they have subcommittees, and those subcommittees, support the urban farm, as an area now, which was not heard of in the past. And the availability of those resources to that segment of the population, and probably right now, I would say that urban farm are what we call urban micro farm. It doesn't have to be, say, in urban. Now, you have to be of a certain population to be established as an urban community, an urban farm community. I want to say it's 200,000 or more. FSA would know what that population base requirement is. But the population base requirement would be established as an urban farm designated area. And I'm sure other things would be in the farm bill to be relevant to that, because they do now have a urban farm Department of Agriculture. The Department of Agriculture do not have specifically a division area that addresses the deal with urban farms, but then micro farmers, because USDA has enough diversity on it. It is so diversified now from a programmatic perspective that they have the type of resources that fit the needs of smaller farmers, be it micro farmers, urban farmers from a definition perspective, but definitely we're not necessarily talking about the 2,000 acre farmer or the 5,000 acre farmer, not even a 500 acre farmer. It could be a lot. It could be 2 lots. Once you go through the steps of the process that's required in order to have it defined as a farm. So they'll talk about that. Now let's talk about also what we define as being some of the barriers as it relates to accessing resources, but understanding the availability of resources and the process for accessing those resources, as well as barriers beyond that. Mississippi is like most states. Air property is an issue. Air property is an issue where you have undivided interest in real property. Now, with that being said, Arkansas, of course, the legislation passed where the Unified Air Property Act, meaning now you can't petition the court to land that's automatically sold or forced through a sale process. I don't think Mississippi has passed that legislation yet. Is one of the states that's done, a number of other states have done that. I said that to say this, there's a process for dealing with air property. In some states, USDA has become a lot more flexible as to how they will make available their resources, even when it's an air property issue. So that's been very promising. I know with some of the areas and some communities that we've worked with over the years. The other thing that USDA has done in the last farm bill, they have made available financing. They have financing now to help resolve air property challenges. Now, of course, that was unheard of in the past. Now, that financing and accessibility is by way of third party itself, and they can give you more details on that and where those resources are and how to access those resources for the state of Mississippi. But basically what that means is this: there's enough diversity in the financing itself that where you have the undivided interest in air property, you can access the financing for those who may not have the same interest or where there's not a common interest in either the retention of that real property in moving forward. Then those individuals who have such interest in the retention of that property, that they can apply for that financing to buy those heirs' interests out. Now, that's a major plus. And the reason I say it's a major, and it's not just for agricultural land, it's for air property. It's for air property, period. And I mean, again, sometimes a major contributing factor, even in the more urban populated areas where air property exists and you have abandoned property. There are no heirs or no individual family member that will continue to maintain, be it the estate itself or the home, because they can access certain resources to do either rehab or rehabilitation of that property, or even if they want to tear it down and build another home there. Then you still have to get the interest of the other individuals out and give the clear title of ownership of that property in order to use it for that particular stated purpose. And the same thing will apply with others. So that particular resource is very, very key and very, very crucial to dealing with what has been and still is a barrier in many cases for accessing the availability of certain resources that exist with USDA. And this time, I'm not gonna say just USDA, it will be with any particular resource, private sector as well. If you're dealing with the bank, you're gonna have the same challenge. That you don't have clear title ownership to that. So, we can't make this available to you because of that particular situation. So that has been a barrier, it still is a barrier, but while it is a barrier, there are opportunities to resolve that as some of the challenges that have existed and that still exist for underserved communities. The other area, and I won't talk about the details of that, is dealing with what I call those farm certification process one, but really accessing and establishing a farm. I'm not sure if the city of Greenville has a land bank. Some cities have land banks where they take in property because they have levied certain fees against the property owners and deal with putting a lien and foreclosing and taking that property in. I don't know how much inventory property the city may possibly have, but I can say this. I can say that the urban farm does offer an opportunity in where you may have property that is not being utilized, or what I would say that is underutilized, to the extent that it can be a much better or improved economic base for the local community. Being a supplier, a local supplier, what we call local food supply, in a particular level area, where they have, I think, Greenville has a farmers market, that it has. Okay, so that it has the opportunity to increase that supply for the farmers market, those who become urban farmers. Okay, so, and again, as a result of all of that, and you put those in place and you create that type of opportunity, let people understand the availability of that opportunity and the resources to build more capacity in that with USDA. To that extent, we have a bunch. So I'm going to stop at this time. I know Mr. Williams said that is the longest summary that I have ever heard. No, I was see you all the time. But that is my summarization of the people. And we're just going to call this, we want to be a round table format of discussion, because we will have discussion. I will come back. And I do want to have conversations as we go through the process and talk about the resource availability, accessibility to children, and the benefits of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Seaman. I want to thank you for that. Next, we're going to have a program, natural resource, and conservation services. Will be here, and it would be Blake New, conservationist. So I'm going to ask, I'll just add it, if you will wait until he finishes, and ask questions.
Thank you. As you said, my name is Blake New. I'm the district conservationist for the Natural Resource Conservation Service, which is USDA. Our office is right up the road, and we kind of cover Washington County here, and this is also work out of the Roll Fork office, and we also have Isqueen and Charlotte here. So those are kind of my coverage here. So I know, we some of you are out of Arkansas, so I can only speak what's going on somewhere in Mississippi. I don't know all the Arkansas, so I can talk about what we've got kind of going on here. you know, as you mentioned, there is a lot of changes that USDA has gone through over the years, and one of those that's new to us is urban ag. What we call as urban ag, and Greenville has been one of the pilot project cities for urban ag the last 3 years, I think. They've also added this year, for some new cities in Mississippi and then in the Delta. But it's been a somewhat of a challenge getting people to know about it, to come in, to apply for it, to see what's available, as well as, frankly, our agency has a challenge to develop those designs and practices for the more micro side. We've always been in the, you know, the row crop, commodity style production of things, and now we're going to a micro. So not all our designs, if you will, fit the smaller realm of world of ag here in the smaller cities, but we have transitioned. We are working on it and developing those things, and we've had many contracts over the last several years with multiple people around here to do that. And I think, as you mentioned, it would be a great idea to try to use some of these lots, either getting kids involved in schools, to developing those things, and we could work with them to get that, whether it's either financial or technical side of things. You know, there's underutilized areas of the city. Beyond that, we go into, you know, as usual, a lot of row crop production is what our big bread and butter is here in the Delta, because that's what's mostly here. We do a lot of irrigation related practices, like land forming, irrigation line, irrigation reservoirs, to water recovery deals. We do a lot of cover crop for erosion, drainage pipes for erosion. And that's the majority of what we see that people are requesting for in the Delta. We do have other programs we assist FSA with CRP, Conservation Reserve Program. We're taking a lot of cropland and putting in trees essentially, or some type of cover. We've got wetland reserve easements program, which is kind of does some of the same thing, but we're trying to convert that cropland into an easement, which is a whole different type of program. It's a 30-year or permanent easement option there. So, you know, I can go into depth in a lot of different ways here, you know, but I know trying to focus on what maybe is something to people here in attendance and what they're maybe, you know, interested in. We also we got the environmental quality incentive programs, which, as I mentioned, is one of our biggest programs we generally deal with on row crop, commodity crop, as well as what's under urban ag is. The other program is a conservation stewardship program, and it's designed to look at a whole farm perspective. So it's designed to take a look at where you currently are with conservation of your farm, your operation, and see where areas we might improve that, to enhance it, to extend it further over the next 5-year periods. And there's payments for that throughout the life of that contract on an annual basis for doing those things. So that's been a very popular program that we've got a lot of applications with here in the Delta. That's very competitive. Same thing with EQF. It's also competitive, meaning that you make an application, we review and assess all these applications and rank them. And we start funding the people who rank the highest down the list. We run out of money, and we always run out of money. To give you somewhat of an example, here in Washington County alone, we've probably had, I think, about 200 EQIP applications for this year, and probably about 100 CSP applications. That's a little bit higher than most places in the country, but we are in a heavy commodity crop area, heavy ag area, so we do tend to see a lot more than others. So our workloads tend to be higher than some other places in the state. But we probably on that EWIP, we're probably maybe fund somewhere around 10, 15 contracts a year right now, with a little over $1 million. And then with CSP, we're probably getting about that same amount, maybe a little bit less. We get a good bit of money in the Delta, but it's just a lot more requests than we have dollars for. And so that tends to be a problem. But if you're interested in any you know, these programs and would like to sign up, we have an application process, and we have to go through that one. Most time our deadline is about October the 1st each year. So right now, where we are in the process, we've taken applications as up to October 1st this past year. And we're processing all, we ranked and assessed all those to this point, and right now, we're actually funding those for this year. Any applications that come in this point will be kind of set aside until we fund all the ones we have, and then we'll look at those. So we never fund all the ones we have, and likely, the ones that come in now will roll over to next year, 2025. That's kind of a quick nutshell of what we have, everything, you know, like I said, I can go in depth with practices and more. But I'm not sure what anybody's interested in, so I'll be glad to take any questions at any time if anybody has it. But I thank y'all for having me here, and we'll stick around with any questions you got.
Thank you. There are any questions? Was any online? All right. So we're gonna move on to Farm Service Agency. And we have Tina Bennett, our county executive director. And Jamelda Fulton, farm loan manager. I'm gonna let Tina speak first. Okay.
We have two things, Tina RD, Tina FSA. Good morning, everyone. As she has nicely stated, my name is Jamelda Fulton. I bring you greetings on behalf of the Mississippi State Farm Service Agency. We are under the fearless leadership of Evan Sparrow. Today, my cohort Tina Bennett was not able to attend, and she administered the program side. She's right now she's the temporary county executive director. We're in the process of getting a new director for Washington County, and on the program side, we are Farm Service Agency is broken into two divisions. We run farm programs, or farm loan programs. Farm programs is actually the front door that the first step that a farmer makes when they're trying to farm. They come in and make sure they have a farm number, track number, and programs. A lot of individuals are not aware, and that's where the first step is to be able to be able to receive the programs that are given by the government. And a lot of the programs that are administered are ones that they have mandated by the government doing legislation. Also, that's where they certify the crops, and also for vegetable farming, they have a program for its insurance that cover vegetable programs. Vegetable farming also. I'm forgetting on the names. So I'm just giving you a brief overview on what the program side does. Where my program is for loan programs. I currently administer 7 counties in the area of Washington, Sunflower, Bolivar, Humphrey, Carroll, Montgomery, and I'm thinking of leaving everybody out. Washington, Bolivar, and so many. I was trying to make sure. I think I can cover it all of under the loan division. We have guaranteed and we have direct loan. Guaranteed loan is basically whereas the USDA guarantees the loans of the bank. Actually, the bank is considered our borrower, and the individual go into the bank, and whereas those bigger the bigger farmers will need much more money, whereas the limit over there is $2,200,000. Currently $2,200,063. $36. So therefore, our bigger farmers are able to go over and use their bank as a lower risk borrower for the bank, and then they get the government to guarantee it for at least 90%. If they fail to repay the bank, then we step in with the 90% guarantee to pay it, and then it comes out debt. Okay, next we have direct loan. On our direct loans, we offer loans to pay for equipment. We pay for operating expenses and for farm ownership. Currently, we have our our latest loan was the micro loan. Our micro loan, it goes up to a limit of 50,000. They designed that loan because so many farmers don't need the total amount, our max amount for operating expenses, 400 for regular and 600 for ownership. So therefore, they designed the $50,000 micro loan to be able to make an easier process. Whereas we require only 1 year of unless we see necessary, only 1 year of history, and whereas opposed to 3 years of history if you're doing the regular loan. Our interest rate is a fixed interest rate. It's according to if it's the interest rate at the time of closing or the interest rate at the time of approval, whichever the lesser of the two. Currently for the month of April, our interest rate is 5.125. Operating loan is usually repaid back in 1 year. Meaning that, for instance, if you have, you do it for crops, this is considered loan season for us. Because this is when the farmers go out and get their, prepare the crops to be planted in the process of planting the crops. So therefore, when their crops come off, we have, of course, if we, finance it, we put a lien on the, crops. So therefore, we balance CCs with the state. And when they come, when the crops are harvested, of course, that's when they, we look for repayment. A question about repayment is also asking, do we look at credit reports? Do we look at credit scores? We look at credit reports, but we do not concentrate on credit scores. We looking for repayment ability, loans, not loaning the not having outstanding delinquency. That's what we look for, delinquency. Also on the operating loan, we have term. We consider operating loan term, whereas you can purchase equipment. You have a term up to 7 years to repay the equipment loan. The equipment loan also has the same interest rate of 5.1225, whatever the current rate at the time. So you have a period over 7 years, and like I said, the max of that is 400,000. What we ask of you is that if you're purchasing loan, to bring in an invoice of which, if you get it from an individual, we have to go out and look at it. If it's coming from an individual and do appraisal on our own. If not, if you get it from a manufacturer or a dealership, we ask that you just bring a quote in for the purchase. And if you're going to an auction, that's a little different, of course. If you're going to the auction, you have to let us know exactly what you're trying to get so we can do a little appraisal about how much money we would think, because our appraisal is based on auction quotes. Also, next is the farm ownership loan. Farm ownership loan can range from a repayment time of 15 over to 40 years and the increments of 5. And we do have 3 different processes for that for farm ownership. You can do a regular farm ownership, you could do a down payment farm ownership. And you also can do where it's like a subsequent farm ownership, whereas someone else could be financed as part of the the farm ownership also. And that will based on that interest rate is based on which option that you take. It usually be always higher, step higher. For instance, if the regular operating is 5.175, it could be 6.175, and then we have different options of interest rates for the other options that you take. Another loan that we have is the youth loan. The youth loan is a good way to start, and you have youth that start their projects early and get them into farming. It goes from the age of 10 up to 20. It could be based on operating expenses, also be paid back in 1 year, and also over 7 years. Usually it does well with that youth that doing cattle, and especially like they're in 4-H, and they're able to I know it's very young to take out a loan, but they're able to take out a loan at that age. They say have the same interest rate as the adult, the 5.125. And I want to say I've been working for the agency 24 years, it's the highest it has been out of my 24 years, it has been up to the 1%, 2%, and it just jumped up, I guess, as the economy has been going through its different since COVID, that's when it started rising for its interest rate. So therefore, we had never had the highest. We do have limited resource rates that we do also read, which is 5%. If it does not cash flow at the regular rates, we could also have another interest rate of 5%. Just to see, we try to look at consider our agency as the farm loan division as the first opportunity. Given that they're farming the first opportunity to be able to farm if they're not able to get it for the commercial lenders. And the whole program is designed to be able to graduate to a commercial lender one day. And so that's how we look at our program and hoping that we are helping a farmer to graduate to the next level. And also mentioned earlier about air property. Like I said, that is a third party program that the USDA fund is offering. And I do have a contact person that does air property. Air property is a subject that I want to say that we look into often. We see it often, and I see it often because a lot of farmers come and it be air property, and therefore it's hard for me to be able to give them a loan because it's not clear property, it's not splitting out. We don't usually have it splitting out. The state has not settled the estate, or they don't have it straight out. So therefore, there's no one person that to get the money or to you have a discrepancy there. Because if someone goes on the loan, this person might not agree for someone farming on the land, and this person might agree. So therefore, they have to be all in accordance. So therefore, a lot of farmers that has really hurt. So it was a nice program to come up with, and they designed it because then we saw that this was an issue that was hurting farmers because a lot of people just use the land. It's my family land, I use it. My father been using the land, and then you're gonna have that one person that come out and say, oh no, I can't use this land. No, I don't want to use the land, where the money is, and then you find yourself into a bad situation. I think I have covered the majority of everything. If you have any questions at this time, I'm willing to answer. Okay, thank you all so much.
Who is that point of contact for the air property here?
Okay, Mr. Delmar Stamps.
Stamps.
Yes. Yes.
Delmar, DEL,
Yeah. He used to work, but he's a retired from ARCS. 601-940-3340.
Repeat.
Okay, 601-940-3340.
Is there any questions on line one? All right. You want to thank the full Janelle? Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Next, we're gonna have rural development. Evelyn Murray and Christina McKee.
Greetings, I'm first greetings from our state director, Dr. Trina George, and also our area director, supervisor, Mr. Tim Baker. As indicated, my name is Evelyn Murray, and this is Mr. Tim McKee. We're both specialists in the Indianola, Sunflower, Washington, and LaFleur counties. What we're going to discuss about the housing grant program, the situation we have, and Dr. Kevin, you mentioned air property. We do have a lot of problems with the 504 home repair loan because a lot of the properties are air property and they cannot get repairs done to the property because actually they do not own the property. And what our guidelines is you have to own the property. It cannot be air property. And another property we have right here in Greenville, Mississippi, We cannot do any loans inside the city limits of Greenville, Mississippi. We only do in the county. Once upon a time, I think it ended in 2018, that we were able to do loans inside the city limits of Greenville. But as of right now, we cannot until they change the laws. So actually, if anyone in Washington County, it has to be actually in the county. And I filed for a loan program, grant program is $2,000 grant for repairs only. And you have to own your house, and you have to be 62 years old. You cannot be 59 and a half. So a lot of people, even though you may be disabled, but you still have to age, have that age of 62. And it's one time per lifetime. A lot of people think once they get a grant and they might have got a grant 10 or 15 years ago, they'll come back and we're like, no, you already received the grant. Unless you only receive 7,500, then you can possibly apply for the remaining 2,500. The only way you can go to the 10,000 if the national office decides to take it over $10,000. And on the grant program, it's strictly like if you need a hot water heater, a new roof, central heated air, anything to make your bathroom handicap accessible, anything like that. A lot of people want to do painting, they want to have a room, they want to do this, they want to do that. Unfortunately, we are not able to do everything. But we do have a file for a loan fund, you can do that, and if the file for loan funds, you have to be at least 21 years old, but you also have to own your own property, again, it cannot be air. And that's when we will check your credit, and it's a 1% interest rate. And it can go up to, I'm thinking like $40,000 now. And I tell a lot of people, say, well, I don't want a loan, they'll wait, but it's their, they want to do. That's pretty much it on the 504 grant program and loan program. We do have the 504 direct program, and that loan is for 33 years. That right now, the interest rate is 4.5%. Again, you cannot do anything inside the city limits of Greenville. It's still in the county. You can get up, I think you can get up from $0 to $398,600. But I tell everyone, if you get a $398,600 house, be prepared to pay that note. It will not be at 1%, it will be at 4.5%.
What, excuse me, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. You can ask me just
You say you can't have the loan. Repeat what you just, the part of you can get a loan, but you be prepared to pay the loan back.
Okay, if you get a loan for $388,600. Okay, a lot of people think they can pay $800 a month. That's not happening in 2024. You gotta pay anywhere from $1,500 to $2,000 for that house for me.
Oh,
That's what I was saying.
okay,
Okay.
okay, make a difference.
Yes, yeah, but you got,
Well,
we just don't
understand.
have the $800 house note in. That doesn't happen.
No, I'm about to
Go ahead.
I'm just saying. She said the maximum for that loan, which you will understand, the maximum for the loan, 398,000. And that's at that.
That's fair.
4.5.
4.5, you can get from 0 to that amount.
Right.
Depends on your credit and your income.
And then even if you don't do the maximum, 498,000.
390.
So maybe 398,000 and 4.5% advertised over 33-year period of time, then that's when you're gonna run that $2,000 a month. Even with the subsidy, if they provide the subsidy to it, say 1% interest to subsidize that.
You still have to qualify, you have to qualify for that, and
Yeah.
it's not like they'll give you, like, say, for instance, your note is $2,000. It's not like you'll get, the government pay $500.
No.
That doesn't happen.
No. But you could, if they dealt with, I'm gonna say interest subsidy example versus 4.5%, they could even at 1%. At a 1% interest rate, you'll still be running about $1,500 a month.
Exactly, because you got insurance and you got taxes.
Right, so even at that rate, so the minimum basis, even with the subsidy, to make it more affordable, say to create the affordability aspect of it with that diversity of the program. that your minimum note is gonna be about $1,500. Without the subsidy, then you're talking about $2,000 more. People have to look at what's called the income to debt ratio, and
Yes.
want to look at the income to debt ratio as it stands now. And you know what, your living expenses are, what the income is, you know, other debts that you may have, on an ongoing basis, on a monthly basis. What individuals have to simply do is look at how much available revenue do I have at the end of every month? Living expenses and all,
Yeah.
and other buildings too, how much do I have $2,000 left at the end of the month? Do I have $1,500 left at the end of the month? That's one. That's in the maximum amount, and normally in most cases, if you're talking about new construction. If you're talking about purchasing a used, not a used, but a existing home, then of course, looking at an existing home, what one should take under consideration is appraisal value of that home. In a lot of cases, that's more feasible, dealing with the market rate. But the fact that RD only operates in rural areas, my experience has been normally in most cases with homes in rural areas on an acre or what have you, the comparables of market.
But let me correct you, on the existing homes, okay, rural mean like, say for instance, if we're in Washington County, then you talking about Leland, you talking about Meghead, Arcola, Hollywood.
Right.
So they're not gonna need an acre of land because they're gonna have the city sewer and water.
Right.
The only time you need 2 acres is when you're in the rural area and they do not have the city water and they have to have a septic system. And that's Mississippi state law, that you gotta see it on 2 acres.
Right. So that's a most say for Berry Street. And a certain type of septic system. Well, but maybe I won't say that because I live in rural areas, I'm just,
Okay,
you know, I'm
well,
like,
back then, they did have, once upon a time, it was 1 acre, but the law was changed.
yeah, well, I'm trying to come from the farm, so we can
Yeah.
walk out lines and stuff, and
Okay,
as far as
Okay.
accessibility, you have to have accessibility to a certain amount of land, with the health department, I think. But
Absolutely.
it's out of, but, yeah, let's do a small rural town, 400 people in it, where they can do business. Now, my assumption, this is a question more than anything, my assumption is that, the population here is roughly 30,000. And so with the 30,000 population, is that the cutoff point of population?
it depends on what they figure out in our state office and our national office, but as of right now, city limits of Greenville is out. You're gonna still have to go into the county. And then you're gonna have to go outside the city limits of Greenville.
So, my assumption that then it actually varies from state to state, you know, some states it's
All
35.
they do is Griffin County to county.
Right.
Yes, because like we work in Sunflower County. And then we have the LaFleur County, so you would think LaFleur County, Greenwood is really big, just real big, but we can do loans inside of the city limits of Greenwood.
So although Greenville population is more than Greenville,
Not sure what it is now.
yeah, okay.
It's not, Greenwood is not, okay, prime example, we're gonna say, you're thinking like Cleveland, Bolivar County, you know, Cleveland is big and it's growing. But as of right now, we can see your loans and grants inside the city limits of Cleveland, anywhere in Bolivar County.
Okay, so I'm saying, is that Greenwood?
Greenwood is in the LaFleur County.
Okay, so Greenwood is still there. So the policy requirement varies from county to county. If you're a city, such as Greenville is, and the county is in, then the population base is 30,000, then you don't lose all of it.
It may be 40,000, I don't know.
Right.
You know, but it depends on once they start looking at everything and adding everything, the density in that area, that's how they figure it out.
Right. I know if it's a part of a metropolitan area, if it's kind of a metropolitan area, like if it was closer to Jackson, Mississippi, but it's a good way to Jackson, so it would be.
In Jackson, we cannot do anything in the city limits of Jackson.
No, I know.
Like Byron, some parts of Hines County, Canton like that, but it's only the city limits right here in the Mississippi Delta. It's just the city limits of Greenville and Washington County. Any more questions?
I just want to ask one, come back to what you were saying about the $10,000 for, it's the actual 504. You said people cannot use that. They think that they can go ahead and get the grant to paint.
Well, it's grant is for healthy and safety issues. Painting them was considered as a cosmetic thing.
Even if it's to remove health and safety issues. If
Okay,
the paint is
painting, I mean, say for instance, you remodeling a bathroom,
Uh-huh.
okay? So if you're gonna remodel that bathroom, of course we know we're gonna have to paint one, like that. But someone may wanna say, well, I wanna paint my house. That's, you can't use that with grant funds.
Let me ask you, I'm being correct on you, are you finish? If someone, and that's an answer, that if the house was air property and the lady lives there, well, she's a sister too. So if she was trying to get the bathroom remodeled, as far as help, accessibility to that, sound like you can shower. Would she, as an air property, would she qualify?
No, ma'am, it has to be in her name only, because if it's air property, just say for instance, I'm one of the sisters of the heirs. I may be mad if you do some work on the house, that's the family house. So it has to be in that person's name, the deed has to be in their name.
Both of them have signed paperwork.
Nope, the deed has to be in the person we're making the grant to. The warranty deed has to be in Jonathan's name. Yes.
Another county, I thought another county had said that. If the family agreed or something.
I would have to get permission from my team lead,
Okay.
but not on the policy and procedure says it has to be in that customer's name.
But it could, you said.
I'm not saying it, I don't want you to question me. I'm saying that we are the underwriters in Washington, Sunflower, Fort County. And so when I get a grant, it has to be in that person's name, the deed has to be in that person's name. Now, if my state office and national office said it is fine, they will give it to me in writing. And I have no problem with it. Next question.
Does it matter if the deed is in one person's name or is in several people's names?
If it's air property, you cannot do anything with air property. It has to be, if it's a husband and wife, it has to be in the husband and wife name. But if it's a brother and a sister and they don't own the heir, the brother and the sister has to do the grant.
So everyone that's on the deed has to apply.
Yes, well, no. Y'all give me three.
That's what you said.
If it's air property, I'm gonna use my family for an example. I got a big family. We have a house, a tree. Okay, we cannot, it's air property, it belongs to all aliens. So we can't do anything, or we cannot get a grant on that house because we do not live in that property. That's rental property for us. So if it's rental property, you cannot get any repairs done. You have to actually be that person and living in that house.
But if one of your sisters were living there, one of your siblings were living there, I'm asking the question. That there are, when it comes down to deal with deeds, and possibly really looking for it and access to these resources is to establish a restricted deed. And when I say restricted deed, basically all the individuals will deed their interest to me. I'm living in the house, deed their interest to me, and it's restricted to the extent that that property cannot be sold. unless it goes back to one of the other heirs or all of the heirs.
Okay, you said leave it to you, then what that means is you will be the owner of that property.
Exactly,
And then you
but,
can get it,
yeah,
it won't be considered air property anymore.
no, I understand, when you say a straight line warranty deed versus a warranty restricted deed, it could be restricted. That you could have stipulations, I'm asking is one of an assumption possibly. As a means of sometimes resolving these issues. Because you know, we all understand that air property is a major barrier in accessing resources. And it's not just USD, private sector, I don't care what. I have had certain experiences in where individual family members would deed over to another individual. They create a restricted deed so that person is the owner of the property with specific restrictions in that deed that property cannot be, it can only be used for the purpose for which this restricted deed is for, and let's say for loan purpose, and it cannot be sold. It cannot be sold to any other party other than those individuals who have deeded that interest over to, but it creates a restriction within the context of the deed itself. And you can, and I would just say, see attorneys on that. You can establish restricted deeds. We know it's a big challenge. USDA is saying it's a challenge, and trust me, they know because they experience it every day. If you're dealing with housing loans, if you're dealing with a land sale, if you're trying to get a loan to purchase land from someone, then if you want to buy that land from individuals who are heirs and FSA is involved, and FSA is gonna say, well, John Doe can just say, well, yeah, I'm gonna sell it. If he's got 3 other sisters and brothers, then all of them, you have to have in front of an auction to purchase from all the heirs that may be involved. With that, all the same thing would apply, that those individuals would deed all the interest over to the one individual, say you can sell and have all the money, but that ain't gonna happen.
But Dr. Kevin, you said about restricted deed, so where we're going is basically that deed. It doesn't matter if it's a restricted deed, but if that deed is in Dr. Kevin's name, then they get the warranty deed in Dr. Kevin's name. All the other fine print notes, I see a warranty deed that says Dr. Kevin and no one else.
Right.
And if you have restriction on down in there, that's between you
Yeah.
and your family.
Yeah, that's right.
But as long as that deed says you are the sole owner of that property.
Right. And the reason we say around things, one of the discussions, on these issues, I know that VA has moved or worked more to deal with, where the discrepancies are, where you have the availability of resources. And I'm just gonna say, with the grant program, where you're gonna have that as a challenge in certain areas, certain communities. So the services, you see more services, benefits, from those resources, in certain parts of the community. Well, they don't have the air quality system, the issue. They say, well, I'm gonna need money to go to John Doe, you can have that, I'll use by me out, and they go in for those resources. On the other hand, where this does exist, as a basis of it, and you have and let's just say you're not the sibling, you may be the niece, or you may be the nephew of one of the siblings, and it's 2 of you. But your old Uncle Cabin is staying in the family house, and you need to get some work done on the house. But you don't want your old uncle to sell the house. So nobody else don't want to go outside the family, but you're not gonna stay there. So then one possibility behind that, I'm having that discussion with an attorney, is to say, well, I will deed my interest over to Uncle Cabin with the understanding this is a restricted deed, and this will not allow him to sell the property once the improvements are done. So you get the improvements done, and he cannot will it to his children.
Well, say something about that, maybe, okay, if let Dr. Kevin get this grant. Okay, you get this grant today, you cannot, that house has to stay in Dr. Kevin's name for 3 years from today's date.
Right,
Or Dr. Kevin will have to pay that money back.
exactly, exactly. There is, and like with all programs, you have a compliance period. The grant program has a compliance period. NRCS has a compliance period with this program, if it's with, Equip as an example, you know, you're gonna have a compliance period, with that, so there are definitely restrictions in all the areas. So once that, even after 3 year period of time, so, and I'm staying there, and if something, happened for whatever reason, there might be children say, well, no, he can't say that now, we want him to be an assistant care facility. Well, it's still in Cameron King's name, but he's not living there.
Again, as long as it stays in Dr.
Exactly,
Kevin's name for
exactly.
3 years, even
Exactly.
if God called you home.
Well, we don't want to talk about
No,
that.
it's fine, you know, this is what we. Well,
I-
I'm just saying,
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just saying, you know, if something happened within that 3 year period. It has to, you know, the children cannot sell that property, they cannot take it out of your name. If they do, then you have to pay the money back, even though your children won't tell us, but your neighbor will.
Well, you're right about that.
They're gonna call it too.
Yeah, absolutely right. But I agree, as long as people are understanding compliance, you know, here's what the compliance requirements are. Often individuals, you know, even when you go in and say, you know, we're going to do this, then you know you have that as a requirement, you must meet these compliance requirements over this 3 year period of time, you cannot change the deed, even a restricted deed, and that restricted deed cannot be changed for that 3 year period of time. And putting it in anyone else's name, either by way of inheritance or anything else.
But
So that-
after the 3 years, it'll go back to where it was before the 3 years. Is that-
Well, that,
Well, that'll be between you and your family, but after 3 years, you no longer have the restriction with USDA rural development, you know. But you cannot, I know, okay, but you cannot come back, you know, and get another grant. It's only one per lifetime.
Lifetime.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what if someone else is living there and they had gotten that?
Okay, and a new individual?
Yes. From that same family.
No, no, that's,
Just that, so it's a physical,
yes.
you put it in location,
location,
one time only.
one time, it's a person, individual.
I mean, if they sold that house probably and that person, okay.
Someone
Makes a lot of sense if they sold it.
We haven't had that time.
Yeah, I was just wondering because, you know, the mother had it and she
got the 10.
got a loan, or the grant. $7,500, I'll just say $7,500, and it was paid off 15, 20 years ago. And then one of the siblings lived there. As I was saying, she was there, or she is there. And now she is handicapped and wants.
Yeah, well.
I know those different.
And they will just have to do the application and we'll take it up to that.
So they could, that's possible. Okay, all right. No, but the address is probably system.
Yeah, the address can pop up in the system, but if there's someone else that's over the age of 62 and mom and dad gone home, so we don't know, we haven't had that happen. And I've been working over 30 years. So,
Well,
but I mean, we'll take the, but that is,
Yeah, that she was talking about. Okay.
and more for the discussion, because again, these are challenges that do exist. I mean, you all know those are challenges that exist. And so we look at what the possibilities are as for a solution. And that applies both for the grant program and the loan program. The both bases of both programs, up to $40,000 with 1% interest-free loan and $10,000 on the grant. You're talking about up to possibility of $50,000 that allow you to do both the health issues, addressing that with the $10,000, And then up to $40,000 just dealing with the renovation program.
We're gonna, that question that you asked, we're gonna pose that in our next meeting. And that is a good question that, we will definitely next time.
Yeah, we do a solution, but.
So who pays for the title work?
Yes,
Who
solution.
pays the title work on your grant part?
Yes.
Is that incorporated
I didn't hear you.
on the grant part, on the 40,000, push, incorporate both of them together? Who pays the title work? Because is it part of the grant? Does it come out the grant or do you guys pay that?
Okay, I'm not a closer, so she knows more about the closing part than I do. So Ms. McGee, that question is for you.
If it's over 7,500, then we would take a lien out on the property. If, for instance, if you're doing a loan grant combo with the loan, if it's over 15,000, then it has to go to an attorney. And then we take those closing fees out of the loan amount. So once you submit your repair bid, then we would figure it up based on the repair bid plus what the attorney's going to charge. And then we'll give you a total amount of how much it's going to cost. And that will come out the loan portion of the funds. So if you have a $10,000 grant and then you got a $15,000 loan, and then you go to Attorney Murray and she's gonna charge you $2,500. So you have less than $2,500 for your repairs.
Unless you pay the closing out of your pocket.
Yes. And we try not to do that because then that's you're putting the homeowner in hardship. Sometimes they can't.
But that, if she's not from the 1% and but if you deal with even additional direct loan, the closing costs has to come out of that. Full amount, on, so if it's $150,000, if the total cost, if the total eligibility, if you meet the eligibility, you're only eligible minus $398,000. But if you only meet the eligibility requirement for $150,000, then that's all you're gonna get. That's the max you can get. So you gotta find something for $150,000. And you won't be able to build one for $150,000.
Absolutely, and it's gonna be hard to find a house for $150,000, depending on what neighborhood you want.
I got one for sale.
We're talking Arkansas. Okay. We talking about Mississippi side.
I'm just saying, I'm from a small town. I'm just from that perspective. but-
I mean, y'all just a couple of questions.
I'm from back then, I'm the city.
Please do.
But on the housing side, and just the basic part of the discussion, we know the mayor has said there is a need to deal with housing, and although now we know we got two barriers in Greenville area, they can't make loans in Greenville, they can make loans outside the city limits of Greenville, but individuals living in the city limits of Greenville, then they cannot make a loan to them. Now, that would include the 1% loan, but I didn't hear her say that she could not make a grant.
No, I said no,
Oh, no
grants.
No grant.
I said it now,
Okay.
because we get calls all the time. But if it's one of our houses already financed with our agency, then we can do it. It has to be a house that's financed have a loan with our agency, not what you done paid off. If you still got a mortgage with
If you have an
USDA,
existing mortgage.
right, then we can. But if not, other than that, we cannot.
Well, let me ask about, let's go to another program area then, on RD side. Of course, we know we have the housing program, community facilities, and that's mean that no programs through RD, Greenville cannot get into RD
Let
program.
me stop you on that. I'm gonna give you the number that you can call the area specialist that handles that. We work with 504 loans and grants.
Okay,
program.
So you're the community facility.
Not in our area, but I don't wanna tell you nothing wrong. I wanna make sure you go to the source.
Gotcha, okay.
So I will do that with that number, and you can call her Monday morning.
Well, okay.
Dr.
This is
Henson.
She's not in today.
Well, and this is just for the purpose of information wise, the individual on with RD, they do all other programs outside of housing. They have a loan program for business. They also have a grant program for business. This normally goes to the state program, through the state. In some of the states, you apply for it through the state office. They have a cooperative development program as well on the program side, both a loan and a grant program with USDA rural development. And they also have a energy grant program as well. And I won't go talk about the details of how the energy grant program works, but that is another one of the program areas that's available to USDA rural development. I would suggest this to the individuals, particularly those working with the city, that you do make contact with the state office to see if RD provides any of the other program services to the city, within the city limits of Greenville. Is it that no program by USDA or rural development is made available to the city of Greenville? Again, it's not just housing. Community facility grant program is another one, both for nonprofit organizations as well as for municipalities, the city itself, and for various things that they can use that program for on the community on that community program side. The Rural Business Enterprise Grant Program, yet another one. If there is a particular business within the city limits itself that could possibly do an expansion as business, and again, you have compliance requirements from that standpoint. If you've been in business for a certain number of years, then you can apply for the grant. Normally, in most cases, there would have to be either with, I think, with the nonprofit or with the municipality, and dealing with how that particular grant will have an economic impact with job creation in the local area. But that's one of the other programs that it does have available, as well as the energy program and a number and infrastructure as well. I want to ask you an RCS question. We gotta go to we want to go back to Equip. See, they always say it, they say, remember this, that last is first and first is last. So we get the last to be first.
That's just everybody.
This, with the remote,
Yeah, that's all, that's man, but I think the rural development program, but I see if we want to talk about that Equip program specifically, one of the things that we gave reference to was urban farm. Equip offers opportunities through NRTS for individuals that want to become an urban farmer can put in hoop houses, what we call hoop houses, okay? And that can be up to a 90% cost share, right?
We are not doing cost share. Ours is financial assistance. There's a big difference because
That is true.
and the reason I bring that to light is because we do not look at your cost and pay 90% of it, which that would be cost share.
Right.
What we do is on the front end, say, here's the amount of money we would pay for you to go install X, size wise, length wise, whatever, the design specs. And once you meet that requirement, this is what we pay. No matter how much it costs you, if it's over or under, this is the flat rate.
So
that's a little different.
Yeah, it is, because so if it becomes 100%, then that's good. You'll get that baseline max.
We don't care about, we don't
Yes.
care about percent. So let's say if you got a high tunnel, in this case, what we call hoop house, same thing. And we agreed on the front end that we need to install a 30 by 72 high tunnel house, and it had to meet those specs, and the square foot is 2160. We would go out and we would say, okay, here's what we're paying for that It's roughly around $8,000 to $9,000, I think, just off the top of my head is what our financial assistance would be for that practice. We would go out after it's installed and check it out, and make sure that that square footage is out there and meets those specs, and then that payment would be made. Now, there's other options too, there's advanced payments and, payment assignments as well, when you're to help get it installed and get it going, but that's kind of what the payment would be, so.
Okay, and so on each one of the practices, who bounces on the, I mean, high houses will only be one, say, one practice. And then the other, you can have other practices as part of that contract, as an inclusion in that, including, say, drip irrigation,
Micro irrigation, you can have
CFP.
cover crop potentially in that, you can have, there's all kinds of practices.
Right, but they do the total contract.
And each one of our payments is based off of practice and that rate. So there's different rates for what they call historically underserved, which is socially disadvantaged, beginning farmers, limited resource, and veterans. Those are all part of historically underserved, and they get a higher payment rate. So those rates are different, and if you're what we call basic rates and then HU rate, you get a different payment scale essentially on that. But it's not a percentage, so it's just a higher payment rate per practice. So each one of those practices would have a payment rate. So for example, like we talked about the high tunnel, it would be so much per square foot.
Right.
A cover crop would be so much per acre. A land formula would be so much per acre, or a drainage pipe so much per.
But now, I want to make sure that we're clear on two things. One is that, although he said per acre, we know that a micro farm or urban farm would not necessarily be an acre. It could be a quarter of an acre, eighth of an acre, whichever, the high tone itself, along with some side production practices that may be taking place on that particular urban farm and the contract that. Now, let me ask this question now. In certain states, or some of the states, they have a minimum total payment.
Or CSP, they do.
CFP, yeah. Yeah.
So equipment is not a minimum payment.
No, I don't mean for, because I was trying to, and as we look at what the options are with the individual on the resources to maximize the resource availability, you have as a part of equals, you can have CSP practices as a part of that contract.
Well, equip and CSP are two separate programs. Under CSP, you can do some of the same practices that are eligible in equip.
Right.
Okay, so for CSP, they did raise the minimum payment this year to $4,000.
Right.
Per year for a contract. So that's probably what you're alluding to. And that is the minimum payment. And CSP is that program where you enroll all your acres, your operation into that and try to enhance it with activities or enhancements over that 5-year period. So you have your choice of doing practices. The idea behind CSP is that we offer these lists of practices out there that are available under equip. They're also available under CSP. But the idea is to be able to, if you have never done those practices, you start doing those practices in your first year or so of CSP. And then at the same time, you can enhance them by doing the enhanced activity. So for an example, cover crop may be a base practice that's also eligible under equip and under CSP.
Right.
So if I wanted to come in and I want to apply for a CSP, Conservation Stewardship Program, and I've never done a cover crop on my farm, I'll have to at least meet that base practice before I can enhance it. So one of the things that people do is like, okay, I want to cover crop here in year 1. And then in year 2, I want to come back and I want to enhance it with a cover crop enhancement activity, which may be a multiple species or one that targets excessive nutrients or whatever. It enhances that base practice.
Right.
So that's kind of an example of what you can do. You want to call it a combo of base practice and enhancement in CSP.
So if individual wanted to do your proper equip, the practices that qualifies on CFP puts on those practices in, you can incorporate those as a part of the equip contract. So we're gonna do this and we're gonna do the cover I just want to speak to the micro urban farm perspective. So if you incorporate those into the equal contract, then the payment eligibility, you would qualify for X amount of payment, we could qualify for the minimum payment, that $4,000 minimum payment in that 5-year compliance period.
I'm not 100% following you, but for EQIP, you can come over here and apply for a cover crop, for example.
Okay.
And then if you went over in CSP, you couldn't apply for the cover crop too, the same double up.
No.
But you could apply now for the CSP enhancement under CSP. Does that make sense? You've got the base practice and EQIP.
Well,
that's
what
you're
you all
use
talking
for
about-
programs. You just can't double up.
What you two talking about? For the folks like me, let me stop everybody else. Your language, I don't even know what you're talking about.
Oh, man, I really appreciate that. I appreciate that so much, and that's what you're supposed to do. See,
That's why
that sometimes is a barrier. That itself is a
you
barrier.
know what you talk, I don't know what you're
You-
talking
you-
about.
exactly.
And would love to know.
Yeah, I'm gonna back up right now. with this
Thank you very much.
I appreciate that. Communication is a barrier. Communication a lot of times is a barrier, and we identify it, we know that. In both getting resources and understanding how to get those resources and abilities.
And I would like to know how to get those resources, that's why I'm here.
Okay, but now, on the, and CFP is called conservation stewardship practice, okay? So conservation stewardship practices are really, for the most part, practices that individuals are doing or should be doing as it relates to their either urban farm or their regular, larger type of farming operation. When they say crop rotation, that being one. Those soil nutrient type practices, there are a number of practices that would adhere to soil nutrient, being a part of that operation, which lends itself to higher yields and, production on your crop, including vegetable crops, we deal with urban farms. Basically what I was trying to get to see, and it varies from state to state, and how they sometimes implement certain programs. If you were going to deal with being an urban farmer, I say you're already raising vegetables, and you don't have a farm number, then you need to get a farm number. One, start with FSA first. The first thing you need to do is to get a farm number. You go to FSA, Farm Service Agency, on their program side, and you get a farm number if you don't have a farm number. Then the second thing, the next thing to have that, then you're able to apply for and receive the benefits of the programs that NRCS has to offer, that we were talking about, EQIP being one. And EQIP, you can put in a high tunnel, and I don't know what the maximum is in Mississippi, the maximum size.
$1,000. It's the cap. It's a
No,
cap.
I mean, okay, but when it caps out that they will do financial assistance up to a maximum of $10,000 to put in a high tunnel.
Okay, now stop, hold on.
Okay.
Arkansas, and I'm from Eudora. You should know, you've seen me several times because I've been at.
I know you did, you go across the.
Well, sure, so I didn't know, I heard it on TV last week that you were here, gonna be here today. So, with that being said, Arkansas, I'm asking for understanding. When they give you when they put you down as a person to receive the tunnel, the hoop house, yeah, same thing.
Right.
Okay, so then you have to pay somebody to put it up, correct?
Right, that's where the financial assistance come in at. Now, across the river here where you are now, Mississippi, said the maximum is $10,000.
Mm-hmm.
In Arkansas, on the hoop house, I think it's a little bit more than that.
Is it?
You know, HU rate, base rate, I'm quite off the top of my head, so.
Okay.
That be, but I guess let me get to this, I know as a government, we have a bunch of acronyms, a bunch of stuff, it's confusing for us.
It's all his fault, I ain't even doing that.
You see three different agencies sitting here, and we can't hardly understand each one of our different programs.
I understand that.
It's very in-depth, so that's why I was talking, when we first started talking, I was wanting, you know, any of you to ask questions, so I could see where you are. Are you a producer, or are you a grower, or what? I guess, what is your interest in the meeting today? Where are you looking?
My interest here is to find out if USDA has a program in Mississippi, that same program is supposed to be in Arkansas, am I correct?
Right.
So it doesn't matter where I get the information from,
No,
as long as I get some information.
it just was, I was asking that question from the standpoint of help, maybe narrow it down what. Yes,
Oh, okay.
narrow down what.
Well, see, I got a lot of things involved here. I'm with the family home, with this inheritance mess. I'm over here, I got a business that I might need that is in the city limits that may need some help. You know, I got several things going on, and I'm sitting here going like, okay.
Well, let me do this with that other point, and I really appreciate you doing that, because our intent is to really provide the maximum amount of information that's beneficial on access to the resources.
And
With NRCS, National Resource Conservation Services, we work with individuals in developing the application to apply. So I definitely want to get an intake form on you so we can work back with you in the.
I understand, and I appreciate you for that, because I've never been where I could just put my stuff out there like that.
I understand. Now, I understand you're talking about, you.
Personal, I need to, yeah.
You want to know specific, here is what I need the resources on this. And if it's a micro farming operation, as well as, I see you've been an advocate in the community to let others know as well, we have been in other meetings, how the resources can benefit them. And then how you do it. And, you know, that normally in most cases is really how you're able to get more of the resources out. Sometimes, you know, if one see another one gonna say, well, hey,
My point.
if she can do it, I know I can do it.
And see, that's the deal with me.
If she can get the money, I wanna see if I can get the money also, because I wanna get my house redone. So, and that's a basic principle, and it's nothing, I think that's very good also. But on the.
You can't even start, wait, you can't start with me, cause I got so much stuff going on in my, and I bought, okay. I live on the 40 acres that we had from day one. Daddy left all of us. After retirement, I got hurt or whatever. Now, I bought me a tractor. I'm about to do something, and everybody looking at you like, what? Yeah, I can do this.
But we could definitely work with you on that, and I want to mention one of the programs as well. I'll refer back to another program that NRCS gave reference to. NRCS gave reference to the conservation easement program. Conservation easement, you know, both a time limit easement and then a permanent easement. I think the minimum acreage in Arkansas is 40 acres if you're gonna utilize that program to go into conservation easement. I don't know, what's the minimum in Mississippi on the?
No, we haven't. I'm aware of it.
That's a good thing to say, yeah, so I say, there may not be a minimum in Mississippi, but conservation easement, and when you say conservation easement, it's not just that, okay, you give us an easement on your land and we can assist you in putting trees or whatever.
What easement mean?
The conservation easement basically means that if you put it into this Well,
The federal government's buying rights to your property.
Exactly.
Paying you, and you're filing those rights with your deed. So essentially, you still own the land, but the federal government bought those rights from you. You can only do certain things with the land. What it's designed to do is to take that land out of production, for example, and put it back in a wetland status or a wetland ecosystem where it's benefiting wildlife and waterfowl. And that's what the WRE, Wetland Reserve Easement Program is designed to do. There's other types of easements out there, but generally here in the Delta, that's the one that we're administering for the most part. So you gotta look at it like, well, what am I wanting to do with my land? You know, and that's why I was asking you kind of where you are with your land and where you see you're going, because that helps us maybe tailor towards what we can help you with. Like if you're saying, all right, I think I've got a tractor now, I'm thinking about producing stuff. Then we know you're trying to grow stuff. Here's some of the practices that may help you. Here's some programs that you may be looking into versus, I don't really want to, I don't see, producing anything. I want to see wildlife on my property. Well, then here's the other route you might be going. Here's some options there.
Okay, let me ask this question. You was talking about the age and buying. I looked at a house yesterday. It's, and it has to be remodeled. At my age, I want to go buy this house. So USDA, somebody.
Yeah, that would be USC rule 11, and I'm sure, I'm also sure.
What state are you in?
Arkansas.
Arkansas. So excuse me, Tommy James, he's over there here.
In Monticello,
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. No, sir. That's who you need to speak with.
the name, repeat that name, hold it.
Tommy James. He's in the Monticello, Red Valley. Yes. Yes.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you so much. Y'all go ahead.
But I was gonna say, now you looking at the house, the first to live in,
Yeah,
okay, so if you buy to live in. You would, now I know we got extra over here on the grant loan program, but let me say this, as I understand the program, it's you in Arkansas on the direct loan program. You need to deal with the pre-qualifying process first, see how much you qualify for financing wise. The other part is the fact you don't have that house in your name now, a deed, or you state a warranty deed with it in your name, then you're not gonna qualify for the grant side of the program.
but once I get.
No, once you purchase it, I'm not sure what the requirements are for the number of years you must have owned the property.
Okay.
On that,
So when you're trying to buy the house now,
back on renovation.
okay, if you're, you need to go do an application with Tommy James. Okay, and then if you get a loan through USDA Rural Development, the property will be in her name.
Right.
And she will purchase it, really the lien notes.
Okay. And then, so what is the maximum amount I can get? Possibly we're not permanent. We're possible.
To purchase,
Yeah,
it's gonna be based on your income
okay,
and your credit.
okay,
And your credit score, most credit scores, it's the reason, if you do not have a 640 credit score or better, it's a reason why.
I understand.
So,
I understand.
so you might need to look at your credit score, but not saying we cannot make you a loan if your credit score is under 640. We'll look at the whole picture.
I understand.
You need to speak to Mr. James.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Just directly back with RD on that, particularly with the pre-qualifying process and income to debt ratio analysis, even on the front end.
Okay, now, when you said farming, I have my parcel number and all of that. I did that last week.
Okay, now, if you've gone and got your farm number, in order for you to get the other program side, you got that from the FSA. Now you need to go to NRCS to sign up for that. Equal, if you want to do the equal program, to put a half tone or hoop house on, you go to NRCS, we will work with you in making that application as well, for the equal program. And again, and then from that, they have individuals that will get with you in a pretty rapid time period, their conservationists, to look at and do an assessment of what all could possibly be a part of a contract for providing you the services that's offered by NRCS.
Has this farm, has it ever had a farming history and crops?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's already established. So you already have an established number, or you just got a new?
No, we have an established.
Savings. And history,
Farming,
farming,
the farming is
for
there.
that.
So, you know, she moves like, sometimes they don't know the farm,
Right.
they'll get your farm on from that, that's there.
Yeah, so they may have crop bases and all.
So you're actually taking all the right steps. Now,
Yes.
it sounds to me like also what your plans are, you have down on, you're going to get a tractor. You need a farm business plan,
Yes.
to go to FSA with. You need a farm business plan. FSA talked about the operating loan as well as the equipment loan,
All of it.
You're right.
All of it.
Okay, well, we also work with you, on that, we are farming advisors. So we develop the farm business plans for our individuals to go through the process where we can do this either, from a form of visitation, just a law, farm program director.
Right here.
Yeah, right here, we can, make sure you get an intake form on you, and we can set up a virtual meeting with you. And we can go through the process, you have all the information, we go through the process. We can set up a virtual meeting with you and the FSA person designated for your area and go through all the pre-process based on knowing exactly where you are now and where you want to get to, what your goals are as far as your farm business enterprise is concerned.
What?
They need to come in, we have people that follow business plan, they don't.
Oh, we can.
There what now?
We can divorce it.
They come to the phone, I thought you gonna say everything. That's neat.
No, we actually
Yes.
work with you. Yeah, we actually develop, and just, I will say that, if you're looking at your overall farming operation, the 40 acres, that's a small farm. But even in dealing with a small farm, look at the diversity, of that, how diversified you want that farm to be. What other type of practices that you would probably want to have on, you may want to do pollination. That's what NRCS, you're gonna do pollination, I don't know what that one pays, but
It's kind of the difference depending on what scenario up under there.
Yeah.
The pollinator habitat.
yeah,
But I guess one thing I would say is, there are some differences between state and state, and even county to county. Because, there's obviously counties do different things in those counties or across the nation. But also under EQIP, and this gets even more complicated, but there's all these different funding pools, maybe, if you will, pots of money, okay? And some states have a funding pool that other states may not. Like we mentioned, urban ag here. Greenville is kind of unique in the fact that we do have an urban ag pot of money, pool funding for a little bit. There's also ones for your local county. There's also what they call small farmer. There's also called
Beginning.
small rooted, goats and stuff like that. So there's all these different little pots of money under EQIP that you could look into further for Arkansas and see what they have, and they may fit you those like way. So not only can you need to make sure that county is ranking you when they take your application and you get eligible. So there's eligibility requirements that we have. If you make an application with us, that you have to meet those eligibility. One, like you mentioned, is getting set up with FSA, which consists of filing some forms saying two of which are adjusted gross income, saying, I make below this $900,000 average adjusted gross income, I can, be involved in any government programs because I'm lower than this level. And the other one is what they call a AB 1026, which is just a form saying I have not destroyed any wetlands, because that's a compliance issue with any environmental agreements. And I know that's a lot of stuff for you, but point being is there are some eligibility things, and if people don't meet those eligibility requirements, we can't move forward. So that's the point I like to always drive home when people come in and sign up. They can't just sign that application and walk away. They gotta meet those other ones, or we can't move forward. And so make sure that, they should help you and walk you through that over in Arkansas. But if not, make sure you're asking about that and making sure you meet that eligibility requirements, or otherwise your application may fall short and not move forward. But there are differences in each state with different pots of money. There's another thing that's also called the Inflation Reduction Act. There's a lot of money out there, and they took about $2 billion out of it and moved it to private organizations and said, okay, we'll accept grants and proposals. And in that, a lot of grants and proposals are funded. And so each state has a bunch of different of these sub grants and proposals that are funded out there that may also help you and assist you. And you can go to those organizations. There's a website out there that you can go and look and see what Arkansas has gotten. I don't know the name of the website off the top of my head because we're not administering it. It's all these separate grant proposals, and y'all probably know about this, but you may can look into those too, and they can help as well, because it's outside of our organization, but they're doing a lot of the same thing.
And you said it is what?
It's
What is the name?
It's Inflation Reduction Act. It's the act that passed through, but there's I don't have a website off the top of my head. Address. I can give you my number, and if you will give me your email later, I'll forward you all the information. But
I'll do that right there. Okay.
So
I don't mean to bring all this to me, y'all.
No. But that's what I think is good is these meetings. I would like people to ask questions instead of me just randomly talking about a bunch of practices that may not help you or be what you're interested in. You came here to get information, and I think that's our goal, or my goal at least, is to provide information and answer questions for you.
Let me have a moment to, answer those questions and also to put us back and say, I don't know what you're talking about. I mean, we want them to hear that and to see that. Because if we go around and we talk about, well, we have these preferences, we have these gaps, there's disparity here, the service is not going there. And you say you want the question, so you can have that conversation with them. Like, if he just go do his feet on them, nobody say anything.
Well, she said, wait until,
Different.
Yeah, that's true.
and that's why I wasn't saying anything.
No,
I was like, hey,
well, when you said something, you.
it's on time. Okay, I got it. I got it, 'cause I ain't.
So, what we'll do again, make sure we have intake, and we're going to go from there. And we'll go follow up with you.
Thank you all. Thank you so much. On behalf of Arkansas Land and Community Development Corporation, we want to thank each and every one of you for coming, our USDA staff. I want to thank you all. I called you for being here. Thank you. We have Dr. King's staff here, and we hope that we have given you just what you came for, and increased knowledge, to take back. And those are on the online and out here. I hope that you have gotten what you had expected from USDA, and hopefully that you can call them and get in touch with your community or your location where you are. With USDA, FSA, Farm Service Agency, NRCS, Natural Resource Conservation Services, Rural Development here. So go if you got land and lack of knowledge. Want to put in, your land in programs or your houses, want them to be prepared, then call these people. And this is Dr. King's vision that he has invested, even in the staff here today, that he has invested in us, and we want to thank you, for doing that as well, and, putting it in USDA, we are partners with them. So we hope that we have, like I said, reach, your goals, what you came for. And we're gonna get in touch with you, as soon as we can. And hopefully we'll be able to help.
And this session was being recorded, so we'll have it virtually and
You're clip my picture out. You can have my voice, but you can clip my picture right on out. Not me, man.
Without your voice, we will not be able to do what we're doing. So whatever you're all doing, and make sure that you do, everyone, do an evaluation form. So that we will be able to do better. But we didn't do as well as you expected today, then what you said and what you were saying on the paper, will help us to do better. Again, thank you.